Welcome back to the 4 Power 2 Balance Tournament. This is round 4 action. The teams that we have playing today are Dad FPS and the Dial-Up Kid and Team Fleet Command. Let's do a real quick meet of the teams. So on Dad FPS and the Dial-Up Kid, we have Koi in yellow on Visari Exodus and Lady Haha in the, we'll call it the lime green for Tech Primacy. Then we've also got DannyVi.com for Team Fleet Command in orange on the Tech Primacy, and Icy Man, and actually that's more lime green on the Tech Primacy. So we'll call this just green and lime green to try and differentiate the two. Again, this is round 4 action. Dad FPS and the Dial-Up Kid currently sitting at 3-0, and I believe Team Fleet Command is sitting at 2-1. This first game is on, where is it? Scrambler. This first game is on Scrambler, and we'll take a look and see how these teams decide to attack this map. As you can, I'm sure you're aware, both Koi and Lady Haha, also known as Davy, are on different factions that they've been in other rounds of the tournament. It's my understanding that they may have hit random for the start of this game. So again, Koi on Visari Exodus, which is usually what Davy plays, and Davy using his alter ego Lady Haha on Tech Primacy, which sometimes Koi plays, but Koi is mostly known as an admin player. So very quickly taking a look at the starts, we'll look at the Tech starts first. So Davy has gone for a 3-1 start and has gone with the Acon. Danny has also gone for a 3-1 and the Acon, and Icy Man has gone for a 3-1 and an Acon. So very, very similar starts for the three of them. And Koi has gone with the double evacuator start. For those that don't know how you can do a double capital start without having captive supplies first, so as the Visari player, Koi started the game building the fleet beacon, built the evacuator, and as soon as that fleet beacon is done, you can destroy a single skirmisher, which brings you to exactly 120 supply, and then doesn't slow down the speed of your capital ships. So again, this is the map Scrambler. It's a very unique map. It's shifted in 2 factions on each side, so Koi and Davy on the left, and Icy Man and DannyVi on the right. And each team has their home planets on the corners, a couple of asteroids immediately off, and then it looks to be tier 1 planets all the way around on that first layer. But then your first tier planets are immediately intersecting your opponents right here in the middle of this map. Then there is a nice tier 3 planet right here in the middle. I believe Ferris might be, we'll just call it a rich planet. So Ferris right in the middle here, Terran right in the middle here, which actually for the 2 techs, that's actually a pretty good planet as you can immediately colonize it. And then the Ferris here, which Koi can also immediately colonize without any additional research. I did note that there is a tier 3 derelict off on this asteroid here that has 2 cornium available to it, which is quite a good find early in the map. We'll see if that comes into play. This one might be a short one. I'm sure you've already looked at the timer on your YouTube video to know that this is going to be a little bit shorter. So taking a little bit of a look at the fleet so far, Koi still just the double evacuator and the skirmisher. Icy Man has added, looks to be about 18 cobalts to this point. Danny's on his way to 15 cobalts, and Lady Haha is sitting at 16. So just everyone's just doing the capturing at this point, and both Davy and Lady Haha, or I'm sorry, DannyVi and Lady Haha are down on this side, just kind of posturing. Looks like Lady Haha is going back towards this ice planet. Very quickly, while there is no action, we'll take a look at the neutral factions. We have the Jiskun Expeditionary Force orbiting the sun, Colony Seed Nanites, Frontier Colony Uplink, very popular purchases on those two with your influence. We also have the Alutar Sect, which is a passive and defensive, and actually supportive when a fleet is being or when a planet's being invaded. So this is the defensive Advent faction with the Safeguard Shield and the Vigor Engine, and I'm gonna guess we're not gonna get into these further upgrades. And then instead of the pirates, we do have the aggressive Advent faction, the Nilari Cult, which has the Eradication Fleet for 5 influence, and then a very good Shrine of Euphoria if you decide to do a culture play to give you 50% bonus allegiance on whatever planet you place it on. So I'm a big fan of this item. I'd like to see it used more, especially because my Visari only get 6% max allegiance at tier 2, where everybody else is a minimum of 10. So love seeing 50%, 56% allegiance on my home Ferris planet, just doubling my metal, almost doubling my metal income. So again, everyone just kind of feeling the map out at this point. Lady Haha at his 141 supply going into tier 2. Koi has the 2 evacuators and adding some skirmishers to his fleet. Icy Man at 134. Is he going for Gang of Freebooters? Not yet. Looks like Danny is getting to his Gang of Freebooters right now, so just jumped over to 277. Let's see, what did he get? What's the roll on that? 5 pillagers, 8 rogues. Looks like max Corsairs, max pillagers, and the minimum roll on the pirate rogues. So pretty good overall, because the Corsairs are the ones that you want more than anything, and the pillagers getting 5 instead of 3 is also very good for bombing out planets. Lady Haha, are you? Nope, still on his way in. Also getting his Gang of Freebooters. And Icy, are you? He probably is. That first survey, I believe, gives you an Anvar on the Terran homeworld, which would make a lot of sense. And maybe, looks like Lady Haha probably has grabbed it via Derelict instead. So everyone just continuing to build out early, and the 3 Primacy players going for those Gang of Freebooters very early on. Now I did notice that Danny has gone with the modular architecture. Looks like Lady Haha has gone for modular architecture, and Icy Man very quickly into modular architecture. A very good cost savings technology, and like to see that there is the investment in lowering costs for tech players everywhere. Looks though Lady Haha's gone for the trade ports instead of the excavators and slowly adding them on. Danny has gone excavators instead of trade ports, and Icy, it looks to also be going trade ports. So I have talked to some of the tech players on the Discord. The reason that so many of the players are currently starting with the Acon and the current state of the game is more so that the other tech capital ships just aren't what they used to be. The Marza used to be probably one of the main starts that anyone would go. And the reason being that it's fallen out of flavor is Concussion Charge. Concussion Charge used to do more damage to Cobalts. Cobalts got buffed from 50 durability up to 150 durability, and Concussion Charge only has 100 pierce on it. So it essentially was doing full pierce to Cobalts for a while, and a nice chunk of 100 or 200 or 300 damage, whatever it is. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it's probably 100, 300, 500, something like that. But Concussion Charge used to actually be exceedingly helpful at clearing out Cobalts, and because of that, because Cobalts got additional durability, it just nerfed the damage overall, and it just kind of fell out of flavor because of that. Sova used to be a fairly reliable opening. The problem is that because you've got Mobile Corvette Factory as arguably its best skill, it kind of locks you into Corvettes. And with all of the area of effect damage available to deal with Corvettes, it just doesn't make as much sense. Plus, Point Defense does a really good job of controlling them, and so just Mobile Corvette Factory just kind of fell off of flavor. Dunov, you're not going to get it. It doesn't help kill neutrals any quicker. And Cold Battleship, as a start, I guess, could be kind of useful and helpful, but then you're missing out on all the free money and colonized money that you would be getting with the Acon. So, Acon just feels like very much flavor of the month unless everything else gets a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of a buff here or there. So taking a quick look at the map status, Koi is building his nano assembly factories on this volcanic. Lady Haha has some auto defense platforms up on this ice world. We have our first incursion of the game, and it looks like 3 turrets versus some kobolds, but it appears that they're just going to do a run by while Lady Haha has his fleets available, and it looks like he's sending them away to go join his main fleet. So Danny has gone a clear run by with the supply of his fleet and sending the bombers straight at the planet here, just to bomb out this planet before it gets too defensive. As you can see, already 2 levels of planet defense track available, so going to be quite defensive and difficult for this low DPS on these pillagers at this time. So Danny keeping his fleet outside the range of the turrets and moving his bombers to a spot where he can actually protect them. Do we have additional fighting going on this planet? No, it's to be a scout play, so nothing there. So Lady Haha is going to continue building Cobalts. He is at 32, whereas Danny is at 15. So there's a pretty significant gap if Lady Haha is able to get his fleet back. Looks to be trying to do so. They're just currently towards the middle of the map while this fight's going on. So looks like the Cobalts have arrived. So it's 28 versus 15 and some rogues and pirate pillagers. And these green Cobalts are just going to do all the damage that they can here. And it looks like Danny is thinking about going into the pirates and now has decided, or sorry, the Jiskun, and instead has decided to go back to his own planet. So first blood there on that pirate rogue. He does have a starbase going up, so we'll see if that comes into play at all. But these Cobalts, again, they're very effective at chasing. So if you're going to run away from them, just expect to take full damage as long as they're in range. And I'm going to guess a lot of these pillagers take a pretty good chunk of damage here. Maybe not kill, but they're going to take some damage. And the rest of Lady Haha's fleet is here. Alright, so Danny at 250 supply has already gone up into the tier 2, the fuel efficient for 1,000 supply. I'm not going to have time to talk about it because Lady Haha's already going in. I don't know if he knows that there's a starbase going up here, but he's fighting into 2 autocannon turrets, which quite effective against Cobalts. So Lady Haha might lose some of this Cobalts here, but he's got so many more right now than what Danny has. And so I think he's just going to be happy. Looks like he did take a little pot shot here at the starbase to stop some of its building. Just inflicted a little bit of free damage onto that hull. Danny just trying to continue to run around these Cobalts, trying to keep everything in range of these auto turrets and this starbase. So starbase is just going to slowly start racking up these kills. Quite effective at killing these light durability ships. However, these Cobalts are going down exceedingly quickly, even in the fact that they're in a starbase and in an auto defense platform. So it looks like Danny has lost all of these light ships and continues to lose these rogues and these pirate pillagers. Alright, and it looks like Lady Haha's decided that's enough. Although Danny does not have much damage available and not building any damage at this time. and looks to be going into Javalis, while Lady Haha has added a capital ship to his fleet. Koi is also adding a capital ship up with the Cordal Devastator, and Icy is going into Argonov at this point. Looks to be no additional fleet going on. So, taking a current state of the map, it looks like Lady Haha, and I apologize for going back and forth between Lady Haha and Davy. Just my brain is, that's who the player is on this fleet team, so I just have a hard time remembering. However, is continuing to add ships to his fleet, all the way up to 390 already. Koi is going to keep going up to 409. Icy Man 263, and Danny not adding fleet back to his or supply back to his fleet. Has the money to do so. I assume he's just waiting for this Javalis research to finish, and then he's going to start pumping those out. Where's he going to do that from? One heavy factory, only on the homeworld, which is the same one you started with. And do they know? They do not have vision. Oops. Looks like they don't have vision that Lady Haha sent anything other than some kobolds to this planet. So I don't know if they're aware that he has moved his entire fleet over to this side of the map. And it looks like he and Koi are getting ready to go and do a double fleet attack on this side of the map at Icy Man. Icy Man does not have the starbase up that is available for Danny's side. However, there are 5 autocannons instead of just the 2. So maybe that's what he's hoping is enough to protect this side of the map. Argonov is researching. I'm going to assume that that's not going to be done in time, because here comes Lady Haha and Koi's fleets. So 336 available for Icy, Koi at almost 500, Lady Haha at almost 400. So they're going to heavily outnumber in this gravity well, and I think Icy is going to do everything in his power just to stay out of harm's way as best as he can. But these auto defense platforms are going to start doing some damage. Radiation bomb does come out onto Icy's entire fleet. However, he does wisely move it out of the way and continues to let all of these smaller ships stay in range of his auto cannons, while also trying to do any damage that he can to both Lady Haha and Koi. Skirmishers are quite tanky at this early part of the game when there's not that much extra damage available. Too much is going down. No star, yeah, no starbase yet. Starbase has started. It's in a bad spot though, and it's taking free damage from these capital ships that are bombing out the planet. Loses the starbase and looks to be losing this ice planet fairly quickly. Retrofit Bay try and come up. It's not going to be enough, and there's just not enough available here. There's too many capital ships between Koi's Cordal and Lady Haha's level 6 Acon and Marza to deal with what's going on this planet. So Icy has lost almost all of his kobolds. He's down to 6, whereas Lady Haha's at 25, Koi's at 36 skirmishers. So that, unfortunately for Icy, is just not enough to kick them out of this gravity well. And it looks like there is going to be a chase from Koi. What's he targeting? He's going to send all of his skirmishers right after this level 2 Marza. Looks like Lady Haha is going to send them after the pirate villagers.
I will deliver your order personally. Mining upgrade complete. All powered in.
Formation move still on. Maybe that makes sense at this point. And it looks like the fleet's going to run, but he's immediately being chased. Yeah, these auto defense turrets just didn't quite get the work done. They got a little bit less than a dozen kills, but just not quite enough to deal with all of the light ships that were available there. So chasing continues through the asteroid here towards Icy's home planet. Where is Danny's fleet? Danny's coming. He's just too many jumps away at this point. So I'm going to assume that they're just going to keep trying to run. So both Koi and Lady Haha on this asteroid here, bombing it down very, very quickly. Captures it, gives it to Lady Haha on the tech. And are they going to keep chasing? Yep, looks like they're going to keep chasing. They're going straight into the homeworld. Very vulnerable homeworlds, especially if you have production here. It's only 2 jumps from those planets. So it's going to be whether or not Icy has had a chance to get all of the turrets up that he needs to defend it. And it does not look like he's got quite enough for this level of light frigates. Radiation bomb comes out. Koi just decides to move away from it and away from the turrets while he waits for Lady Haha to bring a fleet in. Level 3 Chordal Devastator has gone level 2 GM weapons, which is going to be extremely effective against any ship really at this stage of the game. There's just not enough ships for that to really impact what's going on here. And Koi's just going to go straight for the planet. He does not care about this fleet. Does not care about anything doing damage to his ships. He's got extremely durable skirmishers at this stage of the game, and looks to be focus firing directly at the Acon here before it hits level 6 so that they don't have to deal with Armistice. Continues to sit in the radiation bomb, just taking free damage. Icy does have the luxury of having the retrofit bay on this planet, so he can just continuously go back and forth on building all of these technologies. Looks like he is, let's see, am I in the right one? No. Does he have heal? Does not have repair droid. So this Acon is getting focus fired. Is it going to be enough? Goes down. Danny does get his fleet in here. Armistice comes out just a little bit late. Cannot save the Acon for Icy. And there's an Armistice here, but it is not a fair fight. There's 140 for Icy and 114 for Danny, whereas Koi and Lady Haha have almost 5 times as much fleet right now. And even though you're fighting into 5 auto defense turrets, that's not going to be enough at this stage of the game. Icy is continuing to add ships. Did just finish Harker research, so is it going to be enough between the auto cannon turrets? This planet's already at half health, under half health. So they're going straight at this homeworld, and this Terran planet is going to go down very quickly. Losing a homeworld is arguably the worst thing that could happen to a tech player. The majority of your income comes from it. Not as much as an Advent, but a lot of income is on that Terran planet. So losing that is going to be extremely detrimental to Icy. He's only at 100 supply. Danny's at 330. And I don't think the Javelis even got here in order to fight. I think they're here. So just not enough fleet available for Team Fleet Command at this stage versus Dad FPS and the Dial-Up Kid. And too many capital ships at this stage from Koi. What's he up to now? He's up to 6 capital ships. And with these light ships, there's just not enough Pierce available to deal with them. So Danny's level 6 Acon is under the effects of Gravity Warhead. Is it going to get out? It's got 10 seconds left. Under Radiation Bomb, under Disrupt Armor. Everything here. Starts to warp away. I believe it gets stunned by the Marza and gets stuck in the gravity well for just a little bit longer and gets taken down on this planet. While the Javelises are starting to show up, there's only 7 of them right now. They're not going to do much of anything to these capital ships at this stage of the game. I believe this is going to be curtains for Team Fleet Command at this point, while Koi and Davey continue, or sorry, Lady Haha and Koi just continue to add ships to this fleet here. Good game is called, and that will be the end of round one between Team Fleet Command and Dad FPS and the Dial-Up Kid. Let's take a quick look at some of the income. So the three tech players actually very similar in their total income. It does look like Lady Haha had just a little bit more credits. I don't think enough to be really detrimental. I think what was more the detrimental part was the being able to go and pick off all of Danny's cobalts in that mid game underneath his starbase, and then Danny not being able to add fleet supply really until he got the Javelises out. And I know that what you want to do as tech is you really want to get to those bigger ships, either the Harka or the Javelis, and then actually start fighting at that point. But when you lose all of those cobalts, you kind of have to add even just a smattering just to continue to defend. And if he had those faster cobalts, maybe they could have gotten to Icy's homeworld in time to help him out. But really, it was the move that Lady Haha made to fight Danny under the starbase, kill off all of these cobalts, and then immediately transition to the other side of the map where there was no starbase, and then Icy fighting under that planet. Even though there were 5 turrets, they weren't enough for what Lady Haha and Koi were bringing to the fight at that point of the game. So really good from both teams, and we'll get ready for round 2 later.